I've been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who have not kept them. I don't want money. I don't want cars. I don't want money. I don't want cars. You are, the time the best is too fast. The truth, wrapped up in excuses. You are the weeds that pull their group back. The strings upon my heart, but you know that. Cause you pull them, yes you pull them till I cry out.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sisters Against Kidney Disease. I am your host, Bella Langston, and I am so honored and feel privileged to be a part of the Urban Outreach Media family. We've got a great show for you tonight, and this show is very, very personal to me because it plays a big role in my journey with kidney disease. Now, most of you saw me as a guest on Steve Belcher's show, and I shared at that time my journey with kidney disease. And I urge all of you that may not have seen it to please go back and take a look at it. It is also on my page because it's very detailed, and I don't want to spend too much time going into that, other than to say that I was diagnosed in 1993 with kidney disease, and it was a slow progressive stage, which was a good thing. But when it did surface 8 years later, or I should say resurface with symptoms, it was much more at an aggressive stage. And so therefore, I was doing my absolute very best to avoid dialysis and go right into donation. And I had some wonderful people make an attempt to donate for me, but I had about 4 false starts, one of which was my wonderful son, until one of his dearest and best friends stepped up to give me a kidney. And that is what saved my life. I still did dialysis for 6 months, but again, I was truly blessed. Many people are on for so much longer. I would like to say this because it's very important to me with regard to the name of our show, Sisters. I just want to make sure all the men out there know or don't think that this is only for females. That's really important to me. We all suffer from this disease. We all need help getting through it. And that's why I'm here. I want to help people get through this disease. It is my calling from God. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Ever since I retired from the Chicago Police Department, which was back in 2014, from 21 years of service, and I was one of the good guys, let me tell you that. I have just had an amazing journey in the world of volunteering. And even prior to that, when I was going through my illness, that was what got me through it, was taking mind off self and putting it on others. And that is one thing I would urge my audience to do if you're able. Now, some people are sicker than others, so I understand that. But that's something else down the line that we will talk about in another segment. But I just, again, wanted to implement that this show has no gender barriers. I want to involve everybody. And that's what this is all about, not only with Sisters Against Kidney Disease, but the Steve Belcher Show, Jared Brown, who I also want to take a minute to thank because he is co-hosting with me today. And he handles all my graphics, which is great because I am not a techie person. But so yeah, we want to be there for you guys, to advocate for you, to motivate, to encourage you, to enlighten you with other guests, not only guests who are dealing with illness, but also with guests who are doctors and nurses. And I've got some really great people in mind lined up for this that are just going to give us just a plethora of wonderful information. So I'm really excited about that. And we want to hear your concerns. Please don't hesitate to hit a like. Also give your comments, any questions you have for our speakers. Please, 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 I encourage you to do that. The only thing that I would ask of everyone is to be respectful of your comments and of your opinions, and remain civil. I'm not saying this audience is that type of audience. However, I think that sometimes our emotions can get away with us, and we just really need to be more careful about the things that we address, the way we address them. We are all living in a we're living in perilous times of this pandemic, as well as this racial pandemonium. And so I just really am encouraging everyone to just be kind. Be kind. That's all we need to do. We need more kindness and love in the world. And so before I bring the guest on, I just want to say that, we all know that African Americans and Hispanics are proportionately at higher risk for kidney disease, as well as diabetes and all the things that come along with that, hypertension. And the unfortunate part is that we are also the ones that are less likely to donate, even in death. I am also a volunteer with LifeLink, i.e. Donate Life, and I'm an organizer for them, and that's what I do. I go out to speaking engagements as well as events that are hosted by various companies, health organizations. My job is to enlighten people through my testimony, as well as to encourage them to donate. And it is so daunting trying to get our culture, African Americans, to do that, in spite of the fact that we are literally the ones most in need, So I'm going to change that right now, that stereotype, and defy that with a wonderful young man, two actually, one being my son, my awesome son, because my journey would not have happened if it were not for someone that came into his life, but also with my donor, who was his best friend, and that is the person that saved my life. So I just want to give you a little bit of information and tell you who they are. My godson, Roger Reynolds, is a native of Chicago, but he currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. He has a bachelor's degree in public relations and a master's degree in English. And he is currently, guess what? Yep, he's an English instructor for college kids. And I know he's a great one. He also works with youths as an adolescent welfare specialist. He has a great love for working with children. My son, my wonderful son, Brian Gross, is also, of course, a native of Chicago, as I am, and he currently resides in St. Louis, Missouri. He has a bachelor's degree from Northern Illinois University in business marketing and a master's degree in public administration and finance with a specialization in fiscal administration. He is currently the he's the CFO, Chief Financial Officer of an independent school in St. Louis. They rock. Let me tell you, I love my boys. They rock. And I get financial advice for free. And so I'm going to be probably maybe getting some real estate tips, because Roger is actually finishing up getting to obtain his real estate license. So without further ado, let's bring them on.
Hello.
Hey, my boys. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. I'm sorry if you were back there a minute. I had to give a little bit of a brief history on you guys, but thank you. I know your schedules are busy. So I just want to say that earlier today, I was, really thinking about things that I wanted to ask you guys to share with the audience. And at one point, I found myself like really getting emotional for a minute because it made me reflect back on, just everything that we went through back then. And you were both like right there by my side. So I want to kick it off with you, son. And I'd like to ask from you, if you would share with the audience, where and how did you and Roger meet and become friends?
Yeah, that's easier. So Roger and I met back in high school, our freshman year, and I believe we started to become friends around our sophomore year, so our second year of high school. So this is back in. So we met 1997. I'm sorry, yeah, fall of 1997. And
No. That's when we graduated.
I'm
That's when we
sorry,
graduated.
dude,
We met
fall of
in
1993.
1994.
No, fall 1993.
Okay, 93. You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
fall 1993, and then I think we started hanging out more like our sophomore year, which would have been the fall of 1994. Now you can tell I'm getting old because the years are starting to kind of fade.
Son, it's okay. It's okay. Mama understand. Now, let me ask you this. Would you say that you two hit it off right away as friends? Roger went,
Always a girl, always a female involved somewhere.
That's a topic for another day.
Okay. Wait, that's for another segment, right?
That's another segment, yeah.
I hear that. Okay, so Raj, I'm just gonna go right in with you, honey, because this is I wanted to bring you on since it was my first time hosting this particular show. And you play the biggest role in my testimony. So I want to ask, the first question I have for you is to ask, what compelled you to donate a kidney to me?
I think at first I thought that it was the right thing for me to do just to get tested. I said, well, let me go get tested just to see whatever. Like, I didn't think that I would be a match. I just said, well, let me go get tested because it seemed like that's the right thing to do. So then when the results came back, that's when I was like, okay, now we have a decision to make. But at no time did I ever second guess what I needed to do once the results came back.
Wow. Yeah.
So I just kept thinking, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I just kept thinking to myself that it had to be the plan. I had no say in it. And, the results said, hey, you are a match. So I just had faith and follow through.
Yeah. I think I remember so many of the intricate details because it was me that was in need of the kidney. I can tell you where we were when you approached me about donating. And unless I'm wrong, and if you start to recollect, you tell me if I'm wrong. We were at Brian's rehearsal dinner for his wedding. And you guys remember the last person that was gonna donate to me backed out at the last minute. You guys remember that, I think. And because if I'm not mistaken, you came into town for the rehearsal dinner because I think you were still in school. Now I could be a little.
I was in Memphis.
That's correct. And you came up to me because as far as you knew, it was still a go because
Right.
it was a done deal. We were sitting down doing the logistics, me and that person. And you said, God, Mom, when is the, transplant? I want to come back. I want to know so I can come back home. And I was kind of blowing you off because I didn't want, it was a hurtful time and I didn't really want to get into it. Bottom line, I ended up telling you, I don't know if you went back and asked Brian or if I told you at the rehearsal dinner, but you came back and said, God, Mom, I want to get tested. And I said, no, I'm
I
ready.
remember. Yes.
Yep. I said, I'm going to go on dialysis. I don't want you to do that. I want you to go on and finish school. I'm just going to deal with it. I'm ready. And you went anyway and got tested. And then that flow to which you just described is exactly, where it went, from there. So, that's exactly how it happened. And so I remember, son, that, you were like the first, no, you were the second to get tested, to give me a kidney. And I kind of didn't want you to give me a kidney either, because I was just more concerned with you guys finishing, school. But how did you feel when you found out, unfortunately, that you weren't a good enough match?
I believe I probably was initially disappointed because I wanted you to have a donor. I don't think I felt disappointed as much that it couldn't be me. I just wanted you to have somebody that could help meet that need. And so that's what I remember feeling most of all.
Yeah. Because I don't think we ever really, we didn't spend too much time talking about it, obviously. I remember, I could tell you were disappointed, but we were like, well, moving forward, So, so Roger, I know you mentioned a few minutes ago that once the results came back, you were like, okay, here it is, so.
Charger.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. That's all right. I'll start it over. So I know earlier when you responded to, I think like my first question of you kind of touched on this a little bit, and you said, after you got tested and it was a go, and they were like, you're a great match. You weren't just a match. They said you were an excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. And what they go by are those antigens, the antigens in our body. So during that time, once the process started, do you feel, that you had adequately considered and prepared yourself emotionally for all the potential risks that were going to be involved with being a donor?
No.
You didn't?
I think I had totally removed myself from the process. Brian may not remember this, but actually me and Brian talked about it. And his words to me were, Roger, this is Mom. Make sure that this is what you want to do. She's had so many letdowns. And so I responded to Brian, I would have never revealed that I was a match if I had no plans of going through. And after Brian and I talked, the only person that I thought about in the process was Ashley. Because her and my sisters are around the same age, and I just couldn't imagine them having to continue to grow up and our mom not be there. So Ashley was pretty much my driving force. And I don't think she even knows this, but she was my driving force to go through with the whole process, which meant me driving back and forth from Memphis to Chicago.
That's right. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
If you recall, UIC told us no. Remember?
Yes.
For some reason,
your calcium. They said because you're. Yeah.
They told us no, and then I said no. We have to go somewhere else, and that's where we and it's like we ended up at Northwestern. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't think I ever thought about any of the details or the possibility of something going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
I for some reason, well, I know what the reason was. I just remained calm through the whole situation.
Yeah. Now, look, you know what? I know yeah, I distinctly remember you now in this, what you just said, you clearly stated those words you had said before. You remember how my situation did get a lot of media profile. If you guys remember, we interviewed at the national, we were interviewed, wasn't it Art? It was Art Norman.
Art Norman
Came and interviewed us at the National Kidney Foundation office, all three of us, and because I was in uniform. And also, when he came to the home and interviewed us post-transplant, remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he asked you, Roger, why were you willing to give Audrey a kidney? And what you said earlier, you said, because I did not want to see Brian and especially Ashley without their mom. Those were your exact words, what you said. And so your dad, I remember when we were rejected by the University of Chicago, you was like, let's go to Northwestern. My dad works there. He said we should come over here. And that's exactly how that whole thing came about. And my nephrologist, she was the chief of staff, and she knew I was hurt. She was hurt for us because she really wanted to see me get that transplant, but she could not override the nephrologist that you were assigned to. And so when I called them, Northwestern, they said, just get us your records soon as we can. We'll take a look at them. We'll get back to you. We had no idea that would move like it did. That was so God. And I think she even must have had someone stay late to work to fax all those records, over to him. And remember that?
Yeah, and it was so funny. I was mad at UIC because I was like, y'all gonna take this kidney. You made me carry all this urine around for all these days, and you're gonna take this kidney, coming through all this stuff.
Yeah, you go through some things as a donor, and that I mean, it's a process. It is a process, and it definitely shows the love of a person to go through, all of that. And the thing is that when we're going through it, our family is going through those things with us. They may not be the ones that are sick, but however, it affects them. I know it affected my kids. And so, son, that brings me actually to my next question for you. I remember getting a call from you one day, and you said that you had decided, you said, Mom, I think I'm going to take a semester off school to strictly spend some time with you. And I remember I didn't want you to do that. I always wanted you to keep your school as your focus. But I guess I never thought about it then. And I guess in having you guys on here now, I come to, think of things that I never thought of before. Was the reason that you chose to do that, was it just to really spend, it was the quality time, or were you concerned possibly about my life expectancy, or a little of both?
No, I wasn't concerned about I don't believe I was concerned about your life expectancy, meaning I didn't think you were going to die. I do believe that a large part of that, I had just started grad school. It was my first semester in graduate school, and it was a lot of expectations regarding assignments. But in addition to that, you had to do an internship the entire time, the entire program. And so I was doing an internship and I was commuting. And so when I knew that you were at that stage, I just felt like it would be difficult for me to commit to that, not knowing what to expect or what the need would be with you going through, a kidney transplant. It was so new to me, and it seemed like it was starting to happen quickly. So I did not want to devote. I didn't want to feel like I was going to choose between one or the other. So I just took a semester off, which they gladly gave me, and just to see if there was going to be any need or, and so yeah. But it wasn't difficult. I don't regret doing that. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and I don't remember the time span with that, but I wasn't really worried about you, you know, persevering when you went back, because that's always what you've done, and you both have always done well with that. So how did you feel when you found out that Roger was a great match for me, and he was gonna be my donor? What did you guys have? What did you say to him? Did you have a conversation about it? I think he touched maybe a little bit on that. When he said you told him, "Hey, don't," my mom's been through a lot. I believe that's what he said.
But I think that was the only conversation Brian and I had, because we were at this point, we were two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
We were
Yeah.
at the hip at this time. So I think that's the only conversation that we had, and everything else was pretty much unspoken. Like, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and I think Roger, I was hoping he was going to say that, because I'm like, this wasn't like some type of reality show or soap opera. I mean, at the end of the day, we're two guys, and so clearly I was very ecstatic and thankful for what Roger was doing, and loved him for that. And so, but we was not about to have some like moment together where I start busting out tears, and that's just not who we are. So if that's what you was hoping to get, I'm sorry.
It was none of that. It was just
thank you, son, for just shattering my, I thought maybe you'd do it now, but
Roger and I are similar in some things, and we express our feelings, but not like that.
Yeah.
So
no, I understand. I do, and it's not like it was like, just from the way I saw things, it was going from when it was my health was bad to when it just was great. You know what I mean? It even in between the sick times, which both you all were in school, but and Bunny would have been obviously, and during that time with me when I got sicker, and I was doing the PD at home, and everything, but still working. So I know you guys weren't around for that, and I'm glad you weren't. But that's why I said those little intricate details are a little more harder for me to remember, like how you guys conversed about that. So, Roger, when you were going through the process, because I know a lot of times people are apprehensive about donation because they don't get educated on it. Where did you get most of your education from with regard to kidney donation? Was it through the hospital, or was it through another wonderful source?
It was through another wonderful source. So just for some history, Brian and I attended what was then Jones Metropolitan High School. It was a business. Well, I don't know if it's still a business, but no, it's not. It was a business high school in downtown Chicago, where during our senior year, we got to work half the day. So we're in school in the mornings, and then we would work jobs in the corporate or business realm the remainder of the day. So my high school job was working at the National Kidney Foundation of Illinois.
There you go.
So I was in charge of fielding calls, shipping out educational material, calling donors, planning things. So I was pretty much well versed on all things kidney. And so that really factored into why I guess I remained calm. I was like,
right.
I was put in that situation to handle what was to come. So I think that's why I never like stressed it or questioned it. Like I applied for so many jobs for that high school, and I was bummed that all my friends got to work at banks, and I'm like, I want to work at a bank. They're like, no, you're going to the National Kidney Foundation of Illinois.
Wow. So, wow. And I mean, that and sometimes I reflect on that because I remembered that and I was like, wow, look at God and how amazing he is. He was setting that up all the way back then. And son, I think you ended up getting hired. Was it at First National?
It merged several times. It was
First
Chicago. Which became Bank One, which became
everybody wanted that job. Everybody who wanted that job.
Wait, if you remember, I didn't get that job. They a couple of our friends got the job, and I was like, I was the third string. So
really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. So Roger went to the National Kidney Foundation, but that is when you went into the banking industry. Yeah, and so I don't know if I ever asked you this, is that where you became interested in finance, or how you became interested in finance?
No, I think that I was just interested in it because, like Roger alluded to, we had a really good program. Jones Metropolitan had we were part of a pilot program that was trying to do two things. One, they were at the point of creating a magnet school, which is ultimately what the school became. William Jones Magnet School now in downtown Chicago. So they were doing that. We were in this college preparatory program, but then also, like Roger said, they helped us secure jobs and get some kind of like practical work experience, which was awesome because to work downtown, which most of us did, was a great experience. Get out of school half a day and then go work downtown and hang out. So.
Okay. So I want to take a minute, everybody, and I want to bring in my co-host, Jared Brown. Come on in here, Jared.
Hey guys, thanks for letting me crash the party a little bit.
Hey buddy. Did you have any questions of the boys? Thanks for coming in too.
You're welcome, man. I love the banter and the chemistry you guys have. I think that's awesome, by the way. It's like when he's about to say something, you know exactly what he's talking about, and I mean, that's awesome. I'm an identical twin brother, and it reminds me of the chemistry my twin brother and I have. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I just think that it's like, I tried to be the mom that was engaged, in my my kids' friendships, and the kid. I think all my son's friends thought I was a pretty cool mom, especially being a cop. What you think, son? Did they think I was pretty cool? Well, I know Roger did, hands down. So Roger, in fact, used to want me to fix, because he was over every week. He comes from a large family, has some beautiful siblings, and he has twins, twin sisters. By the way,
very good.
Chili, and you wanted a chocolate cake. Now my son ate everything I cooked, but I think you really enjoyed that. I could be wrong, but I thought it was. Yeah.
And we also just wanted the car, so
that's true too.
I was getting ready to say, so Jared, I had a beautiful. That's why he was eating your chili. I know.
Yeah. That's why he ate the chili.
I had a beautiful candy apple red sports car Trans Am. Grand Prix. Brand new. And so, of course, Brian could get the car every week, the weekends when I was off. I give him the keys. You need money. Here you go. Y'all go have a good time. But and I totally trusted them. Never had any reason to distrust them. They were good kids, and so that is really a blessing. So Roger, share with everyone some of your post-operative experiences after the transplant, such as like your pain. I remember when we were in the hospital, and I think I don't remember. We had a lot of visitors off and on. And by the way, everyone, Roger and I went in the hospital March 4th, a Friday. March 4th of 2005 was the day I got my transplant. And March 5th, Roger went home the next day. And the next day, which was that Sunday, the 6th, I went home, which was also my 43rd birthday. Wow. So we were I was literally as a recipient only in the hospital 2 days, and Roger 1. So guys, donors are okay too, but I want him to share his experience with that.
I honestly, I really don't remember pain from the surgery itself. What I remember is the difficulty of trying to pass the gas that they used to inflate my stomach.
Oh, come on.
So that was what I was dealing with. But no, as far as the pain in the incisions, honestly, I really don't remember the pain. I refused to take the prescription medication that they gave. I think I took maybe 1 of 2 Tylenol, and that's all I could remember. Maybe I was just so focused on the gas that I wasn't allowing myself to focus on anything else. Yeah.
Oh, bro, I hear that is painful though, for real, isn't it? Well, that's what I hear.
It's more uncomfortable because you're loaded to an extent that your body is not used to. So then just trying to work that out is just highly uncomfortable. Okay. My incisions, a lot of people told me who were not in the medical field that they're gonna gut you open. I had 3 small incisions, maybe the size
2 inch
of my fingertip. I had no stitches. It was medical glue that they used to patch me back up. Yeah, I went home the next day. The only thing that I had to do before they discharged me was prove that, sorry guys, that I can urinate. Wanted to make sure all that stuff was working,
was functioning.
Right.
Yeah, was functioning. I don't have a horrendous story of pain, of recovery. I don't have it. And also as a result of donating my kidney, my father and I had always had a up and down relationship. But me going through this process helped us mend our relationship to a point where he was in the hospital trying to feed me Jell-O, and I'm like, dude, leave me alone. Wow. So it's like all those things that came as a result of me being chosen by God to give this gift. So yeah, like Brian said, we didn't have a under the moonlight talk and cry, and I don't have this overly complicated process of recovery. Everything just went smoothly. Yeah.
And I think that, in my opinion, transplantation is just like that today anyway. You know, it's so much simpler, and the healing process is so much shorter than back in the day, you know, when transplantation for the first maybe 10 years or so, I don't know. But so your healing experiences, your entire experience sounds like you would totally say to anyone, don't hesitate, if you know, especially if someone you love or is in need, and you know what I mean. Would you actually say that?
Yes, I would definitely say that. Donate.
Donate.
I mean, of course, it's my experience, but I'm sure the overwhelming majority has the same experience that of recovery that I experienced, and it wasn't one of regret. It wasn't one. I remember the surgeon, after they had I don't know what the right term is, after they woke me up from anesthesia. He was like, listen, you had some nerve endings that didn't show up on on your x-ray. So we were already inside, so we still cut them. I'm like, what are you talking about? But yeah, I mean, weird feelings of nerves growing back or reattaching, those types of things. Maybe a high level of urination, which I was told was good, that should happen. Yeah, but yeah, I would definitely advocate for donating.
And I'm sure they told you too, you know, explain to you your aftercare as far as if indeed, let's say a lot of people are concerned too about, well, what if something happens to my only kidney? Will you want to explain what they told you about that?
Yes. So my grandmother was really the one who was like, well, what if the one that we have go out? Yeah. So, and it was pretty much point blank. If something was to happen to your remaining kidney, as a donor, you would go to the top of the donor list, not only in Illinois, but in every state. As the donor, you would go to the top of that list. And
then I believe you also, if I'm not mistaken, because my insurance covered everything. Your cost, my cost. So you got aftercare as well, correct?
Yes, I had no out-of-pocket expenses. Your insurance covered the procedure itself, but the hospital, because remember, I lived in Memphis, and then soon after our surgery, I moved to Atlanta. So the hospital itself, Northwestern, covered any expenses that I had for follow-ups, both in Tennessee and in Georgia. So I had no out-of-pocket expenses whatsoever.
Yeah. Shout out to Chicago PD Police Department. We had amazing health benefits. We really did. And I miss them too. You know, to that level is different it's a little different after you retire. But here is a question from Bunny, my daughter, Ashley Winford, Brian's sister. Your Scott's sister, could you explain why they don't place the kidney in the back where they're normally and naturally located? Now, she must think there's a doctor on this line. So, Bunny, I'm going to try to kind of give an answer to that as best as I can. They can't. Probably because most of the time, being that obviously there has been issues with those kidneys, that probably, I'm just looking at it realistically, wouldn't be a good place to put the new one. Also, placing a kidney back there, a little earlier when Roger was speaking on something, he said that someone had told him, man, they're gonna cut you from A to Z. Like it's really almost like you're being gutted like a fish. When kidney transplantation first began, those incisions were literally from front to back. Very, very, very invasive. The healing time was much, much longer, which also increased the risk for much greater infection. So what did God do? In lieu of that, I'm saying it was God. He created this perfect pouch in our lower left abdominal area, left and right. Some people have their transplanted kidney on the left. Mine is on the left, some on the right. But it is the perfect place where a transplanted kidney goes because there's nothing there. They don't have to move anything or move any other organs or anything around. And so the everything that needs to be attached, the ureters and everything, it's so very, very simple. And just like Roger was sharing that little funny story, his surgeon said, I love the surgeons at Northwestern, and they must just have jokes, because I was told the family, really, I'm serious, because I was told by my family, some of my family members, that when they came out, of course, everybody's like, is everything okay? Are they okay? Is Roger okay? Is she okay? And they're like, everything went great. And they're like, great, Roger's good, yes. And they said, but there was one little thing with Audrey. And they were like, well, what? And they said, well, the problem is that once we connected the kidney, it started working right away, and the girl is just peeing all over the OR. And they were like, oh my God, you scared us, So I guess that's a good problem. That was a good problem. They said that they told him she got an amazing, amazing kidney. And they were just like, she got an amazing kidney. They said it several times. So that I hope I explained that a little bit, Bunny, to get you to understand. I'm sure that's part of it. Jared, could you show that question again?
From Deanna?
Can you see that?
Yeah. Do you have any advice?
Roger?
Yeah. Do you have any advice as far as the transplant goes? I found on my phone. The only advice that I would give is, after you and your friend have the conversation to go forward, that you really follow the orders of the doctors and your transplant team. You want to make sure that you are putting both of you in the best position for a successful process. Just follow their orders, and if you can, the night prior to surgery, I think what really helped Godmom and myself was that I stayed at her home, because I traveled from Memphis for the surgery. Like, I stayed at her home the night before. We traveled to the hospital in the same car, so that helped us like settle and just
settle the nerves.
Okay. Yeah. And so you really just want to be in constant communication with the recipient. It just helps ease whatever nerves that you have. And I also want to clear up one misconception that everyone always asks me. As a donor, I have never been on any type of medication related to donating my kidney. Never, ever. Nothing.
Amen. And I would like to add one thing to that young lady's. I'm sorry, I didn't remember her name, but her question, Deanna, and she's a perfect match for you. Okay. Here's what I found out. And I kind of found it out in a hard way, with the unfortunate thing about the person that was originally going to be my donor, where everything went through. It's really important with regard to this to be honest with one another. It is so critical because it's okay for somebody to be afraid, and even if you want to back out, but this is like Roger said, this is why your relationship with each other is so important, so that if she starts to change her mind, she comes to you and talks to you about it. And unless things have changed with regard to the transplant coordinators, I don't know if they still do this, but they're during the time that my whole journey was going on, if someone say wanted to donate and they were a match and it was a go at first, and they wanted to back out, they would lie to the potential recipient,
right? I've heard
and just
that.
give them, they would give them an excuse like, oh, sorry, they're anemic, and I personally don't think that's right. I really don't. I'd rather see those two people be honest with each other, because of what happened with that my potential previous donor. Our relationship was broken for a few years, and it wasn't because I was mad at her. It was because she didn't communicate with me properly, and I had been pleading with her to do that. So there was some dissension for several years until God put us back together. But and we're fine now. I love her. We're fine. But he also allowed me to realize that it didn't happen because it was never meant to happen. It wasn't meant to be her. Okay. So I didn't know that at first. It was meant to be Roger. So, yeah, Deanna, I just wanted to add to that for you guys to just really stay close and your communication with each other, as well as everything else that Roger said was definitely great advice. Yeah. Jared, did you have any questions for the boys or anyone else?
Yeah, I'm going to show one more comment from Deanna. So, yes, I agree. I told her I would not be upset if she decided not to go through with it. I've told her everything that can happen. We have been friends for over 15 years. I ask her every week if she's sure about this. So you guys are giving her great advice. This is awesome. This is exactly what this, this is exactly, what you wanted to do with this show. And I love that.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah,
I did have a question for Roger and Brian. Guys, when Roger, when you decided to do this and you followed through with it, and Brian, this is for you too, how did this strengthen, or what happened? Did this enhance your relationship with each other, Brian and Roger?
I don't think it could enhance more than what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Brian, help.
Okay.
Brian, help.
So I look at it. I would have to answer it in two ways. On one hand, I would agree with what Roger was saying. I don't think it, in some ways, it's not like I looked at him. If he had not offered to do it, or let's say he had offered and changed his mind because of uncertainty, I respected him enough, the fact that he was even remotely interested in it and willing to even consider it. And so, and then obviously with him going forward with it, to answer your question, yeah, in some ways it enhanced it, because it's not like, in every relationship, no matter, in my mind at least, I'll speak for myself, no matter what happens in time, it's not like I can never forget about Roger. You have some friends that come and go over the years, and you may never talk to them again, like most of my friends from high school. But Roger is solidified. There's just no way for it not to be that case. So in that regard, I would say that probably helped contribute to our friendship, in that, like other sometime relationships that can kind of fade, this is just not possible. So.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. It is, to have this all come into place like this, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, It is. It is. And I think that for me, it's. Go ahead, Roger. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like for years after the process, people used to always ask me, well, what did they give you? What did, you should never go into this process expecting anything other than being proud of yourself for doing it.
Come on.
If you're looking for financial gain, or if you're always thinking that because you donated an organ that someone or that person is always indebted to you, you will go through life being so unhappy. You have to make sure that you are doing in even if I could be selfish for a one moment, you have to go in it with the mindset that you are donating a kidney or an organ for yourself. Like you have to. The reward almost has to be self-gratifying in lack of a better term. So
wow.
And that's what really helped me. I didn't expect anything. I didn't ask for anything. I didn't want anything. Pretty much, I patted myself on the back and said, "You did it. Now let's see what else life has to offer."
Wow. Yeah. I mean, he's right, because I remember I would always keep thanking him, I just thank you so much.
And she still does it. I'm like, listen, almost 20 years ago, ma'am, let it go.
But you just can't. It just is, and but wow, that was very powerful. How you described that. That was powerful. And so very true. And I think that's where in society now is so much greed and self-serving, that everybody wants something, for what they do. And they have totally lost reality with the concept of what something like that means, and wow, it's just sad in that regard. So I'm really glad that you said that, because that is so very true. It has to be for you. That's why it's so important, like I said, that you make sure that a person makes sure that that's what they want to do. Not to mention that person is sick, some sicker than others. And it's almost like when you're going back and forth and, you go through all of that, it's almost like you kind of, it could be misconstrued as like you kind of playing with my life a little bit. And we don't have to do that, So so it's really important to know what you want to do.
They got Ashley chiming in.
She's a character. She said she was very upset that she could not be one of my potential donors. She cried about it, and she didn't understand. That was before, of course, Roger stepped up, and she was like, yes, it is, Bunny. It's truly a selfless act of service. So true. Like, Mommy, I'm going to give you one of my kidneys. And I said, no, sweetie, you can't do that. Why not? Because you're too young. It's not allowed. You have to be able to consent for yourself. And she just couldn't wrap her mind and get, why she couldn't do it, until, of course, she got older and started to have more understanding. That's right. Deanna said, I would keep thanking you too. That's life-changing. That's right, Deanna, because as of March 4th, 2020 of this year, despite all the terrible things that are going on in the world right now, I celebrated my 15th year birthday of my kidney transplant.
Nice.
So you can't tell me,
Nice.
oh, my doctor says you're a poster girl, keep it up. He was like, I see you with this kidney another 15 years. He told me actually that he had a few patients that were 30 years out, 32. I'm like, oh my God, that is so amazing. Please let that be me. And that also shows that, you know, it defies kind of like those stereotypes. It's their job though to tell you what the life expectancy is, but only God has the final say on how long, you know, that organ lasts.
Absolutely.
So, man, this has been awesome. And I don't know if there were any more questions. I know you've been monitoring that, Jared. Thank you for pulling all those up because I definitely wanted to get people's views. I just want to, before I let you guys go, you know, I don't know if I shared this with you guys. I know I didn't share it with the audience, but back in January, when I went to my doctor's appointment, he said, did we do a test of your kidneys? And I said, you know, what do you mean? I thought he meant the transplanted. And he said, no, your other kidneys. And I said, no. And so, which is of course my native kidneys, in other words. So he said, I want to get that done because I want to kind of see, you know, the status of them. And I was having a little bit of discomfort on my right side, I think it was. I told him how sometimes it'll just bother me and hurt. And so he said, yeah, let's get that done. So they did what's called this, he sent me for a kidney scan. And when I had my follow-up visit with him, I kind of knew what the status of those were going to be because I'm very familiar with the disease that I have, the FSGS, and I know how it does on your native kidneys. And so he showed me, the scan, we looked at it, and you know, our kidneys are the size, they say, of our fist. And I don't have a very big fist. It may look like that on the screen, but my hands are actually small. And my kidneys my native kidneys were all diseased and shriveled up pretty much completely. I mean, I knew when the guy was doing the kind of scan, how they moving around and they're trying to find, and I felt then, I said, I know he's having a hard time finding those. And so it didn't hit me right then and there, but when I was on my way home that day, and I was sitting at the light and I was thinking about that, and I was like, wow, first of all, I don't even know when my kidneys got to that point of being totally diseased and totally non-functional. And I couldn't help again but reflect on the fact that the reason that I'm alive is because of you. Because if I didn't have your kidney in me, my children I wouldn't be in their lives. I wouldn't have my grandchildren. And so I just want to thank you again because you saved me. I'm here because of you. And that you have no idea what that means to me. Every day, wow. Every day, I have life in me because of you. It was almost like, I didn't give birth to you. It's like you gave birth to me. And that means something. And thank you for that, because you put your life at risk to save mine, and you did it for love, for pure love and the love of my kids. And I know they're grateful. And son, I want to thank you because you brought Roger into our lives. And I just think about how you're such a great dad to the girls and everything. And, you guys were great kids. And I, as a cop mom, never had to worry about you doing the right thing. And that brought me so much comfort during my career. And a lot of my partners were having problems with their kids. And I was not one that had to say that. And so I just am so grateful for you both. And I'm so grateful that God brought us together. Thank you.
Oh, the tears. Stop it.
I figured that would happen.
I have one funny story of having a cop godmom. I remember driving to Chicago in my little raggedy Ford Tempo, and I got a flat tire. Did not have any tools to change this flat. And here comes police. I said, would you happen to have any tools in your vehicle so that I can change my tire? You know, my mom is Audrey, other last name. and they said, that's your mom? And she makes all this money and you're driving this? Not only did they have the tools so that I can change my flat tire, they actually changed my tire for me. So that was having a cop. Mom. Yeah, but it was purely out of love. It just was purely out of love. And to this day, when I hear on the news that a hurricane is coming to Florida or something, I say, "Hey, are you on your way?"
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Where are you?
Yeah.
And then I kind of
so true.
Say, well, I'm gonna hunker down. You're doing what? Get in the car and come
on.
So,
yeah. Which was the case 2 years ago, and the kids weren't comfortable with me sticking around, and they were like, "No, drive to Rogers, go to Atlanta, go to Rogers." And so that's what I did, and that's great too. Just just how you know. God is just so amazing. That's all I can say. He is just so amazing. Amen. And I just hope that everyone who has been on here with us tonight, just know that there is hope for those that are waiting. I'm not sure if my girl Tilsha, Jared, I don't know if you happen to see Tilsha on here tonight, because her story was very moving to me when you had her on the show, and she's just dealing with so much, and I spoke with her through email a couple of days ago, and everybody won't always have the greatest success story. Some people are more sicker than others, and I think that's where the blessing came in for me. It was caught in time a little earlier. So, there were lifestyle changes that I was even able to make that I am sure slowed down the process of that. And then obviously with the blessing of Roger giving at 20, what were you, 24, 25 years old?
Yeah. Around there.
Yeah. And so that's a young body. He didn't smoke, didn't drink, so he had a great kidney, but oh, sorry. He just bust you out, Raj. He just bust you out. Well, he wasn't But so there's hope for everyone. We just gotta hang in there and keep our faith strong. And so what scripture that I think about the most, because I'd like to add a scripture to the scripture applies, as far as I'm concerned, to everything in life and to this situation. And you, Roger, it was in the book of John 15:13. Greater love has no one than someone that would lay down his life for his friends. That's your signature scripture, sweetie.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just thank all of you all for joining us. I hope we enlightened many of you in some way, brought a piece of hope to those that need it. And if there was anyone who didn't get to ask a question or was apprehensive about it, please inbox me. We can chat for the young lady who's waiting. Please inbox me. I would like to keep in Deanna. Thank you. I just remembered your name. I'd like to keep in touch with you during your journey. And I love all you guys. And until we meet again, be blessed and be safe and love up on someone.
One more thing. I'm sorry, Godmom. One more thing. For the recipient, I just thought about this. It is up to your calmness will calm your family, even if they are against your decision. You being calm and you being knowledgeable of the process helps to alleviate whatever fear they may have. I'm gonna say that.
That's great advice.
Thank you. That is great advice. Great advice. Son, any last words for, family? I mean, just encouraging anything you want to say.
No, I mean, the only thing I would just say to family is just to continue to be a support for for whoever in your family is just dealing with some type of kidney disease, and let them be, and don't try to fix it for it or try to push them and want them to be happy all the time. Just be there to listen. And at times encourage, but mostly there to listen and let them know that you're with them through the process. So
great advice. Great advice. Great advice. Well, I love you both very much.
Love you too.
And thank you so much for I didn't hear you say I love you, Mom. Brian?
Oh, I love you. I'm on mute.
Good answer. Good answer.
My son. Well, thanks a lot, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Jared, for
great job, Jared.
what you do.
Thanks,
yes,
man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Bonnie. I love you too, and that's going to be our future lawyer. Yay, free law stuff, free law. Deanna, God bless you, dear. Yeah, and everyone have a blessed night. And until we meet again, signing off.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
I've been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who have not kept them.